This video is about to get very surgical. If you were OG on this channel, then you know that we've been talking about artists potentially dropping music on certain dates, right? That might enhance the intention behind the album, right? And sometimes that's astrological, sometimes it's whatever. We talked about Playboi Carti dropping I Am Music on the first blood moon of 2025. Just things of that nature, right? And this isn't for, to try to convince you to believe anything, or if you believe in whatever you believe in. I'm not telling you not to believe in that. I just find this interesting and I want to talk about it. Okay? So Isaiah Rashad, if you have heard the album, basically is releasing so much, shedding so much. I think the title, It's Been Awful, is a perfect way to frame the album in the way that the art is being delivered, especially with the concepts and the thing that Isaiah Rashad is talking about on the album, which we're not going to get into too much until I do the official review. But I do want y'all to notice that Isaiah Rashad dropped this album during the full flower moon in Scorpio, right? And for anybody that's not familiar, we about to read. So, this was a pretty good demonstration on what this moon basically represents, okay? So the full flower moon in Scorpio, which is a micro moon, blooms on May 1st at 1:23 p.m. Eastern Time, jump-starting a month of personal metamorphosis. Does this align with any of y'all? If it does, it does. If it doesn't, let it fly. But does this align with y'all? Do you feel like you're about to go through a personal metamorphosis during this month of May? Does it feel like things have been gearing up to push you in that direction? I don't know about y'all, but it's been like that for me, for sure. There's a lot of things that have been lining up perfectly to allow that to take place. So let me know if that's been the same for you. There is beauty in personal evolution and rebirth, even though it takes time, just like the maturation of a flower that buds from the soil and unfolds its petals. Once we get past the initial hump and surrender to the fact that we must move into different ways of thinking, being, and feeling toward the universe, we can embark on the journey ahead. The road will lead us back to our true essence, right? And this has been the energy of my life, especially with, for everybody that's seen my posts, the ending of the mentorship and being and just seeing certain things come up to the surface, seeing certain things about my reality, my life, my mentees' life, the people that were around us lives, and seeing these things come up. So much of it was centered around that authenticity, right? That inner child coming out, and that being true to you always, right? Feeling worthy of the relationships that you deserve, feeling worthy. And I mean, the relationships that you're worthy of any relationship you want. So I don't even want to say deserve, right? But the ones that you want, right? Also, the life that you want to live, the blessings that you want to be bestowed upon your life. Like, all of these things are choices, right? All of these things are actual decisions that you get to make. And once you make those decisions and make those choices, you take the necessary steps to create that timeline, right? So when I had learned about this, right, having a conversation, it was just interesting to think about it and think about, wow, this is the energy that I feel like I've been in, right? And I realized that I do get back into the abundance mindset, out of the lack, right? To be intentional with my energy towards my finances, right? To not be in a state of survival whenever I see a bill, but to be in a state of abundance when I see a bill, right? All of these things that literally reshape your reality step by step, just because your reality is based on your perception. So the funny thing for me is when I'm listening to this album, even on one of the tracks, they're talking about like, they're having a full-blown conversation. Isaiah Rashad's talking to somebody and he's saying like, even though things have been awful, what is something you're grateful for? What are 3 things you're grateful for? That, first of all, let's just stop there. That right there in itself will shift your entire day. It'll shift your entire energy. Gratitude. This is why people say, this is why, like Christians, they'll pray in the morning. They'll read a scripture in the morning. They'll give thanks in the morning. They'll do all these different things because when you start the day with gratitude, it's a little difficult to be in the mindset of lack because gratitude gets you to focus on the things that are working on your life and the things that you do have, right? Which if you sit back and take the time to realize you always have enough at all times. But it's okay to have what you want. Okay? Now there is a difference between what you need and what you want. And sometimes what you want isn't what you need. And sometimes what you need doesn't look like what you want. And we get confused the two. But anyway, so when I'm listening to this album, that's what I'm picking up. And that's the energy I'm picking up. Not only is Isaiah Rashad shedding, not only is Isaiah Rashad dropping the mask, not only is Isaiah Rashad looking at himself and being open to all of the parts of himself, even the parts that he might deem negative, even the parts that someone else might deem negative, even the things that he wants to hide, the parts of himself that he wants to hide to the world, that actually, if he allows to come out, will be beneficial to the people that listen to his music, etc., right? He's actually being really, in my experience, as vulnerable as I've ever heard him be. And Isaiah Rashad is an extremely vulnerable artist. Sylvia Demo, even the Pieces of a Kid EP, Sun's Tirade. These are extremely vulnerable projects. But this album specifically feels like another layer to that. Like Isaiah Rashad almost at this point feels like a blues artist more than he does, just a rapper, right? But he feels more like a blues artist at this point. Like he's the soul in the way he's delivering it. And I think that's the part that people might not be able to understand about Isaiah Rashad's music, but I've been able to perceive. I love music with soul in it. That's why a lot of my favorite artists that y'all know, there's a powerful sense of soul in that music, right? So I just find it interesting that this decided that the release date was on May 1st. I don't know if it was intentional. But clearly you see that this full flower moon in Scorpio is aligned with all of the things that we're talking about here. Okay? Bree Luna, owner and founder of The Hood Witch and author of Blood, Sex Magic, Everyday Magic for the Modern Mystic, explains that the full moon in Scorpio ignites taboos, lust, intimacy, envy, grief, the parts of ourselves we keep behind closed doors. Adding that the lunation asks us what we actually want, what we've been tiptoeing around, and what we have been unwilling to focus on. The full moon in Scorpio is the dark waters of our soul. I don't know about y'all. That's exactly what that album felt like. And honestly, I'm going to react to the album live on Twitch probably tomorrow, right? I'm going to react to the album on Twitch because I have listened to it one time, but I know I was driving on the way to do something and stuff, so I don't really know if I got the full-blown experience of this album yet. But I will give you all of my perception and all of that in the reaction and in a video talking about, giving my review of the album. But that's what I felt in this album, right? I felt like this shedding, and I felt like this, let's talk about the dark things. And that's what kind of I was perceiving, because when you look at the title, right, there's a halo over the A in awful, and then horns over the I think it's the U in awful, right? And even when you look at the music video for Same Shit, at the very end, there's a scene where Isaiah Rashad's in the white shirt, which usually represents the angelic holiness or whatever of a white t-shirt or whatever, right? And then he runs into himself, and I'm pretty sure that version of him is in red. And I think it just represents the duality. So him looking into his, that's kind of like him, and he was afraid once he seen that. So him looking at that was kind of like him looking at the dark shallows of his soul, in a sense. You see what I'm saying? So I wonder, with all that being said, was this intentional? Did he do this on purpose? Or was this just the way things aligned, and maybe them moving aligned in that way is what created this natural release date? You see what I'm saying? So that's the one thing that I've been curious about, right? Luna suggests focusing on honesty, intimacy, and release. She adds, this is the moon for shadow work, ritual baths, all that stuff. I don't get into all that. But I am open to just hearing people talk about their things. But shadow work, definitely something that I understand. Ritual baths, sex magic, and all that, I don't know about all that. But cutting ties with anything you've outgrown, yeah. It's also a powerful moment to sit with the emotions you've been managing instead of feeling. There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference between managing the feelings and feeling them. There's a difference, right? There's a difference between putting yourself in positions where you can alter or ignore or all these different feelings that you have. But there's a different experience than allowing them to go through and allowing them to go and processing them so that you can let it go and move the fuck on. Right? There's some people who repress so much that when they actually have to release the very thing that they've been holding back from, they puke. I've watched this. I've watched this happen. They puke for hours. Like that's the energy of repressing things and keeping things in you and not letting them out. Your body has to find a way to release. So there's a difference between managing what you're feeling and feeling it. And even going back to cutting ties with anything you've outgrown, right? In my experience, that's ways of being for me, right? That's ways of being. That's ideas about the world, ideas about my perception of what's going on, all these different things. And there's so many different things that I'm releasing from within in order to come out, right? And I think it's interesting that that's the experience I got from listening to this album. So I just find it funny that, you know, with all of these things that are related to this flowerful moon is like the very essence of what's being said in this album. 1000%. What else we got here? With the current stellium, 3 or more air, as well as the healing comet shot. Now we get to talk about this soon. Absolutely. I had somebody contact me recently telling me something that's very interesting, that I started to look at things and it's an interesting conversation we get to have very soon, okay? But we may be short-sighted in our ambitions Aries highlighting our immediate hunger for clout and dominance. We may be short-sighted in our ambitions or impulsive in our reactions. Instead, we should be planning for greatness on a larger scale and meditative in our intentions. 1000%. I think, you know, that's the energy that I'm sensing now, is that a lot of this year, and I think last year was just, you know, of course, last year's the year of the snake, right? But coming into the fire horse year, I think that everything has been set up for people, for you to shed and go into the very thing that you know that you are. You see what I'm saying? Even when I look at, we'll have a conversation about that later. But May 1st also brings with it the magical May Day and the blah, 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 all this different stuff. I don't really get into that too much. This is one of the most potent alignments of the year, and I've been waiting for. Scorpio's death and erotic energy meet Beltane's fire on the same day. This is the witch's holiday of pleasure illuminated by the full moon, of desire and transformation, right? So whatever you feel like about all of this is up to you, right? I'm not a person that just, I'm a person that's open to looking into anything, right? I also have the discernment to say, this is for me, this is not. This lands for me, this does not. And that's just the current state of where I stand currently. So I wanted to make that clear just in case you think I'm trying to introduce y'all to anything that you wouldn't otherwise want to be introduced to. They'd also got a set of things that right here for individual signs. I mean, I'll put this article in the description if y'all want to go read it or whatever. But like I said, man, I really am interested to see if, and I don't think we'll ever get the answer for this. Was this released on this date intentionally? And if it was, that's dope. And if it wasn't, that's just a crazy level of alignment. Like, that's just crazy. I just love to see things like that. But like I said, take everything I say with a grain of salt. You feel what I'm saying? I'm human, just like everybody that's watching. And just be open to having these conversations and having fun. This is the type of stuff I want to create within this channel. It's okay even if you don't believe in something to at least just have a conversation about it. Just see about it. It doesn't click for you. That's cool. Step out. But all right, man. Jay-Z reaction dropping tomorrow. Y'all know I ain't been really involved on the YouTube recently. So because of the, things that's been going on. Also been working with my homie on one of his podcasts. So yeah, we got, a couple Jay-Z reactions coming this weekend. So, you're getting 2 on the Patreon. So y'all go ahead, subscribe to the Patreon. It's only $5. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of other content coming for the Patreon too, that I've been working on and that I'm excited for y'all to see. You know what I mean? It aligns with a lot of the things that we just talked about in this video. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. You feel me? And I hope every single one of y'all have a great day. Make sure that y'all checking in with you, checking in with yourself. And yeah, go for the things you really want and the things you really desire. And that goes for everything. That goes for everything. You're worthy of everything that you want. The relationships, the partnerships, the love life, the finances, the material things, the spiritual things. All of these things are yours to claim, and because you were born. You feel what I'm saying? Because you were born into this world. So go get them. You feel what I mean? You only got one life. I'm going to catch y'all. I have a good day.